Hi, this is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman, and today we're talking about how to strengthen your own female energy. I have been asked this a lot, probably in the last month or so, and usually it's during a psychic reading that I'm doing for someone, but I really think it's kind of important for us to talk about it in general. And so this video is just for the ladies. I mean, I guess men could watch it too, but this is kind of one of the things that I have found recently and something that I've kind of understood energetically for a long period of time. So let's kind of start at the past and kind of move to the forward. So what I've understood energetically from past lives that I've had is that when Earth was created, a lot of times the females were considered the leaders of the group. I know it's kind of like, really? They really were. Well, if you can think about it, like back in the cave days and during that time frame, a lot of times the men would leave the group and they would go off and go hunting. And so they kind of set up their own dynamics of like who's in charge and who's going to, what are we going to do and that sort of thing. And so they had their own leaders. Yet the women and the children that stayed in the central location or sometimes did farming and started out that way, had their own leadership issues. And so they usually chose a female, because that's what they were, female leaders. And they really kind of came in charge. Now, when the men would come back, a lot of times they just kind of left it with the women being in charge. And it's because knowing that they're going to leave in 2 or 3 or 4 days or a week or whatever it is, and they're going to go out hunting again and then come back. So they weren't going to be there to kind of deal with the day in, day out. What are we going to do today? What is our, agenda? What do we need to accomplish? All those kind of things. So there was a female leader that took over, and her job was to make sure that everybody was on the same page. If there was a conflict, that she dealt with it, that sort of thing. And that ran for many, many, many generations. And so for many generations, the females were the leader of the groups, kind of like the mayor, I guess is the best way to put it. So she was kind of like the mayor, and she dealt with the day in, day out. What are we doing? What is the agenda? Where are we going? Energy of the group. And so because of that, females were the leaders. It's one of those, and like I said, the men would come in, they would be there for a few days or whatever else, and then they would take off again and they would go back out hunting, and the females were there to kind of maintain. They ran the city kind of energy, what needs to be done, what needs to be taken, who's in charge of all of that kind of stuff. And for many generations, like I said, it was like that. And then energetically, the men decided like, okay, we're going to step back into staying more at home. And so we want to take over. We want you to kind of like let us lead. And so this was kind of like a decision made many, a couple of thousand years ago. And so the men have been leading, and they led for many generations. They've led now for, I want to say like a couple of thousand years. And so if you kind of think about like, for many generations now, like that's all we've known is basically men leaders, mayors, city council people, governors. For the most part, it's all been men. And now it's kind of like we've got to balance this energy between male and female. That feminine and masculine energy have to be balanced. And this was kind of put back way back then, is that we would let the men run things for a period of time, and then we would come to a balance. And it's kind of like the cosmos, the energy around us is actually assisting us in making these changes. So one of the things that I will tell you is kind of like the history of like men leading. That is kind of like been our thinking for the last, like I said, a couple of thousand years. And usually women were considered, or have been considered in the past, being very feminine, which is a weakness. Women have been kind of like this, you're not as strong as a man, you're not as capable as a man, your pay has been less than a man, all of these things. And it's really been this kind of this negative thing to even sometimes even say like, I'm a female. And it's one of those, it should never have been like this, but it's one of those, it's kind of like that anything that doesn't bring us power, we're going to squash. And that's where we kind of get into that, like, this isn't what we're supposed to be doing or how we're supposed to be doing it. Now that we're trying to balance male and female, masculine and feminine energy, the yin and the yang of the universe, we have to kind of come together. And a lot of times people are thinking like, we need to strengthen the female energy. We need to like push down the male energy like they've done to us. And the problem is though, is that doesn't work. It never has. If you've ever in your lifetime, like push someone down, like underneath the pool and kind of like push your energy up, like pushing someone else down, it sounds really great. But as you push their energy down, and eventually you have to let them up. And it's one of those, and when you do, a lot of times like they pop back up higher than your energy, like because you've like pushed them down, they pop back up really, really high. And so then you end up with this like buoyancy thing, like I'm going to lead, no, I'm going to lead, I'm going to lead, I'm going to lead. And it doesn't really work. So if we bring the energies together and just think about that, if we're just floating in the water next to each other and we kind of have this little bit of a tilt back and forth, it actually is better for both sides, for the male and the female and the male. All of this energy comes to a balance much easier and much more kind of copacetic, kind of like for both sides, it's bringing a much better balance to the energy. And so when we try to push down someone else, it literally bounces us up for a period of time. And then it's one of those, they come up and it makes it like more unsteady. And so this is what we're really trying to do, is strengthen the female energy. I've never really considered females very weak, probably because I grew up with a very strong mom and who was kind of a force in her own right. Like she was a very strong person. I've always felt like, even as a child, like she felt like she knew what she wanted to do. And I think that's like a really great way to kind of think about women, is women are always been very capable, but a lot of times men in the world haven't really shown that to other people. And then if you're around a male a lot of times you'll start to see that through their glasses of like, women are not that strong, or women are not as respected. And I think that's kind of what we're coming to the end of. And I think that's what we've really been coming to the end of for a couple of years now. Probably the last 20 or 30 years is kind of like this end of this male-dominated society and moving into a balanced society of both male and female taking leadership at different times, at different things. Like you could be the leader of this and I'm going to be the leader of this. And it's not like one of us is better than the other. We're at the same level. Healing wise, this also brings us kind of up to kind of bringing ourselves into a new healed state, especially for women, because we have been kind of pushed down for a long period of time and felt like we didn't have the power, we didn't be able to do things on our own. I was listening to my aunt tell a story about her sister, I want to say like in the 60s, was really not able to own property in her name. I know, it was like, what? And for many generations, women couldn't vote. And now that we've gotten that, it's kind of like that's the beginning of this like new settling energy. And it doesn't mean that we have to be aggressive or command or demand respect. It's one of those, what it is we find a balance and we end up releasing that negative, that aggressive energy and coming into a much easier balance of energy between male and female energies. There will be a lot of healing, a lot of karmic kind of energy coming back in this, because you've had certain families that have been male dominated for generations, and now those female leaders are going to be coming up, and that karmic energy, that karmic side of it is going to be kind of not on purpose or anything else. It's because that's what they've sent out into the world and that's what they're going to get. That's what karma is anything you send out, you're going to get back. And so there's going to be a rebalancing of all of this energy. This isn't going to happen overnight. This is something that I have felt for quite a number of years coming forward and kind of bringing us into a new healed state on our planet, not just United States or different countries or whatever else. This is like across the board. And there is a lot of balance to this energy. There's a lot of, we need to make this right. We need to fulfill what we need to do. We need to kind of bring this energy. And we're starting to see that more and more. We do have leaders of female, I think the German, whatever they call her, I can't remember her name, is a female, and she's leading Germany, and it's one of those, and you're going to see more feminine ideas coming forward. You're going to see a lot more feminine energy, a lot more feminine people kind of balancing. And I think that's where some of the energy comes in of like males wanting to be female, because they're seeing that side of the energy like, well, females have all the power. And so I want to be a female. I want to have that power. And that's part of their karma, is to deal with, no matter what, if you're going to try to be female, there's a lot of things you have to change about you. And there's really a lot of things that you can't physically change. Like there's things on the outside that you can change, but you can't really change too much on the inside. You're like, your body was born male or female. You can't really change that part of it. So this is going to be a rebalancing of energies, of female energy. And I really think like strengthening the female energy starts with some amazing things, is honoring females around you. When you see a female around you, honoring her space, honoring who she is and what she's bringing to that, no matter what decision she's made in her life. If she's gone into corporate America and she wants to be a business owner or whatever it is, or is she a stay-at-home mom? Either one is fine. It's one of those, we can choose. That's kind of the fun part. We get to choose what we want to do and how we want to bring our own power forward. And sometimes that happens more and more. I'm seeing more and more kind of stay-at-home dads kind of staying at home with the kids and allowing the female to go out and make the majority of the money, where it's always, way back when it's been the males doing that. So I think that's kind of the interesting part of this. Hopefully you will engage with me. I like and share this video. I want to get everybody's opinion. I think that's a really good one, is to kind of decide, what is it about this that we want to establish? What is it that we want to change differently? And I really think that the society as a whole is changing their ideas and how we celebrate women, celebrating all aspects of womanhood. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and she has 2 daughters, and her oldest daughter started on her menstrual cycle. And she said, she goes, I remember being starting on my menstrual cycle and kind of like being excited myself that like now I'm a woman, my body is changing, that sort of thing. But she said, I often thought that like other people around me always thought I was dirty, when you were menstruating. And so she said that's one of the things that she wanted to change for her girls, is how they do that. And so now she celebrates that. So there's a lot of strengthening of that female energy as we honor each other and honor our bodies and how we change and go through different phases of our life, and not really putting down like, oh my gosh, you're menstruating and you're dirty. You're not dirty. It's just a normal cycle in your body that you must honor. So let's do some angel cards and get us a little bit deeper insight into all things strengthening our feminine energy. This is what we were just talking about. Celebrations, celebrating the female form. I think that is something that I have been in the process of studying for many, many years. Studying how strong women are. I have had some amazingly strong female energies in my world, and I think that's kind of the fun part of it, is having other strong female friends that will call you on things and talk to you about things and giving you that great insight into what's going on with them, but also being able to honor both of you and kind of honoring that female goddess within all of us is kind of fun. Balance, that's what we're talking about, is balancing our male and our female energy, our masculine and our feminine energy, balancing that not only for us, but our kids and our grandkids and futures down as we bring into this really great balance of male and females leading our world. Spiritual growth. It is a spiritual growth process to go through, is to balance this energy, and realizing that when we balance this energy, it is going to be better for all of us. It is going to be a much better insight for all of us, and not just for males or not just for females, but for everybody, no matter what. Surrender and release. There are a lot of things that we are going to have to surrender and release, kind of like our old way of thinking, that females have to do something to become leaders, or that they lose their femininity when they become leaders. No, I know a lot of strong female leaders, and it's one of those, nor do we have to emasculate ourselves to become, we don't have to put on like male's clothing, or change how we deal with people, or be aggressive, because that's not our nature. It's one of those, like, we can be who we are and be soft and feminine and still be the leader of our family, our culture, our world, our countries, all that kind of stuff. Like, that is the cool part about this. It's not about pushing one side down, it's bringing both sides together. Children, I will tell you this, I think this is the most important part for anybody, is children being taught differently, of honoring both male and female energy, and honoring the differences. We're not all made the same, which, yay, we're not all made the same. It's one of those, if we're all made the same, then there's a lot of redundancy in the world. It's one of those, and it's not necessary. When we honor who we are and what we bring into our planet and our world, and honor that energy, it changes so much around us. Retreat. There may be some time that you feel like, I've got to take a step back from this, and that's okay. It's okay. It's not a retreat forever. It's not like, oh my gosh, all of our soldiers have to pull back or anything else. This is a retreat of, like, let's take a break and let's rethink things. And is this what we really want to come out in our world? Is this what we're ready for? Is this what we need to fix, change, or modify? Next one, focus. When we are focusing on balance, that's what we're going to get. Focusing on balancing these two opposite energies into a cohesive balance between the two. Not modifying one or pushing one down or anything else. It is allowing that to come in. Our last one is signs. This is the sign. This is the sign of the times. This is our energy that we're working with right now. It's been coming in, like I said, for quite a long time. And this is going to bring some amazing balance, not only to our world, but our planet and our life. I thank you so much for joining me today, and I know that we'll be talking again soon.